Hello. Welcome to the third episode of Autism Jammer Burst with Speducators. I'm Rachel. Today we're going to be talking to an advocate from the Autism Jammer Burst Advocacy. Her name is Crystal Powell, and she will be talking to me about how we met, how we connected, and what made her become an advocate. That'll be coming up next. Thanks.
Okay, I recorded, so we're recording now. And you can say whatever word you want, and I'll just cut it out, or I'll enjoy it, and I'll just keep it. Okay, so
we're supposed to sound intelligent. Okay, got it.
No, not intelligent. That's impossible for me. But at least, I don't know, whatever. So here's what I'm thinking. I was thinking, I need to do a really meaningful podcast that explains exactly what I'm doing. Because I don't know what I'm doing, and so I need your help. But first, I want to ask you a question, because I told all the parents are really impressed that I taught my students integers in sixth grade. I taught my fourth graders, and they said they've learned more than they've ever learned in their life. So here's my question. Was I an adult teacher back in the day? Because I know the answer. Tell me what you thought of me as a math teacher.
I finally started to learn math. I had to learn it so that I could help the kids learn it with you.
That was kind of important.
I learned enough that when you were gone and we had a sub, I could still do the math class.
See, that's all we needed. It's amazing. Because I tell them all the time, and they stopped me and they said, I don't know what the kids are doing great, but us adults, we're doing wonderful. And I said to one of the parents, you need to come into my class and catch up because you're behind. And I don't know how I'm going to keep you in the right pace if you're not here. It's hilarious. But I needed you to say it right now so that I can say, see, I told you guys. This is not something new to me. Okay, good. Now I want to ask.
I was not smarter than a seventh grader, but then I learned.
All right. Do you remember the first thing that I said to you when I met you and you were in my class?
Oh, geez, not really.
Because I do remember, because I was a little brash. Not brash, but I think I said something that most teachers have not said to you. I said to you, oh, nice to meet you. Now I want you to go sit over there, and your kids can sit over here, and then I'll let you know if we need your help. Do you remember that? And you looked at me like, what? You're like, okay.
Yeah, I said that I don't really listen to you.
Well, you did that time, but then eventually only the ones that really should have you by them were migrating there. And then remember, I'd stop in class and say, oh, no, not you. You come over here. Because I was like, you're way capable.
I ended up sitting next to whatever student needed the help in their class.
Yes.
Not necessarily the student that I came in there to help.
Exactly, because that's exactly what my whole point was. And you were the first person that heard my crazy concept and didn't completely disown me as a friend. So I appreciate that.
You mean you let the kids be kids?
I did.
With
I let
their
the kids
peers?
I did.
In their least restrictive environment?
I know, it's amazing. It's as though I was like channeled to do it.
Kids need the chance to be kids and be with their peers. That's the whole point of school, learning to get along with your peers.
It's amazing.
And learning in a class with your peers.
I agree. Like, I had to be in the principal's office so many times that year that whatever. It's whatever. And I was sick of the principal's office, to be quite honest. You never went to the principal's office unless you were doing something nice like decorating an office, because you were a good solid worker. But you also pushed.
I was not above questioning.
Oh yeah, you would not. Had no problem saying, "I'm not going to do that," or "That's not a good idea." No. Yeah, or "I'm going to do this."
Okay, I do not agree with that.
You had no problem with that, and I will
give you two choices, and you can choose which one you want from me.
And one of them is not your choice. It's going to be two that I pick out by hand.
It was two choices that I could deal with, and they got picked between them. So they always felt like they were in control when really it was me.
That's really smart. You are so smart. It took me a long time to figure that out. I bet you did it your whole life.
I've done it for a long time, yes. Yeah. I learned it from my mom. It was used on our students, and it worked well.
Parents taught me some serious lessons, though, like how to do integers. I learned how to do them from my mom. What? There's rules? I did not know that. And then the adults in the room were like, I didn't know that there were rules. And I'm all, neither did I. I was like, what? I was breaking those rules worse than I was breaking any other rules I've ever been given, because I was like, did not know they existed. Did you know they existed?
I did not do the math.
How did they not teach us that?
From me.
Yeah. Well, You did. You had to with me because,
Well,
you were the helper.
but not as a kid in school.
No. I barely got through math in school.
Yeah.
Barely.
I really didn't get through most of my stuff in school, but hey.
But you took you did the schooling and took the test to be board certified as an advocate, correct?
I did. Well,
and it had math,
when
right?
When I was in school, they weren't testing for different things that I had problems with. If there were the IEPs and all that in place when I was in school, I would have been in them. Just like 3 years after, well, my brother is 3 years younger than me, and he was starting to get things looked at more in late elementary school years. But I was not, because that wasn't a thing. You just either learn to keep up or you continue to fall behind, and then they would kind of skate you through the system. That was just what it was. You learn to adapt, which is one of the reasons that I can adapt things so quickly and did for my students.
Mm-hmm.
That you knew that about me. The teachers would give an assignment. I'd look at it and go, okay, not as much in your class, but in other classes,
Mm-hmm.
I would take that assignment and adapt it right there on the fly and give it back to the kids.
Yeah. Well, and I loved it. You did it in my class too, but we'd have a little banter and you'd say, this is what I want to do. And I'm all, that's a great idea. Do it.
Right. And
I don't think I ever said that's a bad idea.
Well.
What was that?
That's what I did with the other teachers as well. But I would also know what the students' IEPs were and what level they were at, so that I could take whatever the assignment was, give it a quick little modification, go, okay, this is what I want to do with the kids. Is this okay with you? And they'd go, yep, that's great. Partly because they didn't have to modify it. Mm-hmm. I did that for them.
Well, that helps a lot.
In the gen ed classrooms, I was more familiar with the students' IEP than the teachers were.
Which is unfortunate because they're supposed to read them. Really unfortunate.
And maybe they do, but they had so many IEPs from all different classes that they had to read over, and I did.
Yeah, and that's a good point, because I see that you are definitely way more sympathetic to the teachers than I am.
I have 5 or 6 students that I had to know their IEP.
Yeah.
Because those were the 5 or 6 that I would take into the classrooms more often.
Right.
Did I know it was on the other students in our room IEP? Yes. But I wasn't as familiar with them as I was with the students that I was taking out into the gen ed classroom.
Right. Well, here's the thing.
I was able to quickly modify.
I gotcha. Well, you're a diamond in the rough. That doesn't always happen. Let's be honest. I mean, especially since they didn't pay
I know
enough
it doesn't.
to make it
I was
worth
one
it.
of the ones that could do that, and most of the others didn't.
Right.
That's why I went out to the classrooms that I did.
Right.
That's why I had teachers who didn't want aides in their classrooms, even though they didn't have a choice.
Right. Well, they don't.
They were okay with me coming in because I would go into the classroom, I'd modify the work, I'd give it to the student, and I would let the student do it. Mm-hmm. And I would help out in the other areas in the classroom if needed. Mm-hmm. I didn't hover over my student. I didn't make the teacher's day difficult.
No, you really don't.
I would modify and be done.
And when they're getting it, you have lots of cool crafts that you would work on, and you would find some really cool stuff to share with me. And I was like, fantastic. Today we're working on counting beans. And so you can sit there. We never counted beans, but I mean,
yeah,
you know. And if
today
you're
the
reviewing,
kids can work on this a little more on their own. Mm-hmm. I can catch up on paperwork that I needed to do, or I could work on a project that we were working on. Make me a forky
pen. I mean, you were good at that. You decided you want to be an advocate, which you're awesome. And I want you to do a shameless plug of your website and where you're at right now, because I need people to know how to contact you. Go ahead.
Well, I am on the Autism Jam still, so they can get me through there.
And I have you on the website, like you're right there, so go for it.
Yes.
Just tell them about
But when you moved to Utah and we're still trying to figure everything out and get settled there, I went on ahead and started the process to get my own business going here as well. So I am now with because Special Education Advocacy.
So cute.
And yeah, I help out with that, and we can always put in a web address or whatever somewhere if you'd like.
Absolutely. I can put it in the bio part of the podcast, but it's on my website. I have your link on my website. So with your picture.
That.
No problem.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't have even known about it without you.
Well, you're welcome, but I'm just glad I found you.
I really didn't even know that was a thing, but after I learned about it from you, I felt like that was my next step in the journey of helping the kids.
I thought so too.
I've worked with them in the classroom for years.
Mm-hmm.
I babysat the kids before I even worked in the classroom.
Yep. And they all consider you close like a mom. They trust you.
Well, I am a mom, and when I'm in the classroom, those kids are my kids.
Exactly. Well, that's what I was waiting to hear from you, because that's what you say.
Yeah. That's what I've always said. People will say, how many kids do you have? And I say, what time of day is it? Because my kids go anywhere from, I have 3 children living under my roof. Well, did have 3 children living under my roof. So I'm down to 1.
Down to 1? Oh, that's right. Your boy and your girl went. Okay. By the way, tell everyone at home I said hi.
I will.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm down to 1 child living under my roof. Hundreds of kids.
Mm-hmm.
I still have graduations to go to for the next 3 years, because that's how long the students that I worked with in middle school are still going to be in high school.
See, that's why you're so great. That's why people need to contact you, because you not just know what you're doing, but you love the kids. Like, you're doing it for the kids.
Well, that is the reason I'm doing it. Yeah. And I'm not out there to fight teachers. That's not what I want to do as an advocate.
Exactly. Advocates need to compromise and talk.
That's a horrible stigma the advocates get.
Yeah.
Is a teacher hears an advocate coming in, and all of a sudden they're on the defense. And it's like,
I had a wonderful advocate in California that she was polite, professional. She was there to see if we could figure out how to help my son and make it work. So I don't even think it's common. I think that they get a reputation for that.
Like they say, a bad apple can spoil the whole bunch.
That's the name of my last episode.
Right?
There's a reason, because that one apple completely destroyed everything just because they could.
Well, it's going in there and making it that difficult for the teachers, and the students are not benefiting.
No, they're doing it for their own reason. And that bothers me to the core, because you would not go in there and do that. And it's not the best move to make. You want to start nice. That doesn't leave room for negotiating.
After the break from this message, we will be continuing to talk to Crystal and hearing everything that she has to share with us about what she's doing to be an advocate for children with special needs.
Discussing if you're demanding and making it pushy and scary, it's not effective.
Well, and I tell parents, my goal is to never have to go into that meeting with you.
Right.
My goal is to help teach you, hey, these are your rights. Mm-hmm. These are the terms in your IEP that you're not understanding. Let's break it down a little bit easier for you. Let's understand it.
And that really is your role. If people used it right, they would be educating themselves, because you don't know what you don't know.
Right. And I want to empower the parents to be able to walk into that meeting on their own and go, okay, I am now more familiar with the rules. I now know and understand all the parts of this IEP. Mm-hmm. I now know what the BHP is on here. Mm-hmm. That's their behavior. I know their behavior plans. I know what these things mean now. I know what these terms are.
Yeah.
And now they can sit down and feel empowered to help their child. And I don't have to go into that meeting. Mm-hmm. Now, if they need me to go into that meeting, can I?
Yes.
Will I? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm going to basically be the silent person behind them going, okay, this is what they're saying to you. Do you understand this? Mm-hmm. How do I have to explain it to you for you to get it? Okay, this is what you should be, asking for. This is what they're trying to get you to do. You need to ask for what you want.
Yeah.
And then you're going to meet somewhere in the middle, because you're not, every parent wants the absolute best for their kids. Mm-hmm. We all do. The teachers also want the best for that child.
And they absolutely do. There are those occasional ones that aren't, and I need that to be real. But for the most part, they all want to have their kids succeed, and they want to help them.
Now, can they get the best? No. The law does not say best.
It doesn't.
It says appropriate.
It does. Yes. Well, and that's what I try to explain to students. It's not equality in a classroom. It's equity. Because if one kid has a pencil, the other and another one doesn't, you don't all need a pencil. I think that was the example I would use, right? At the beginning of the year. You don't all need one. Don't ask. Yeah. Because if you need it, I'm going to make sure you have it. And
and mine is, the IEP says the child needs a calculator. Mm-hmm. Well, they're not going to go out and get them that $200 Texas Instrument, all the bells and whistles calculator. They're going to go get them that, super simple Can they do their work with this calculator? Yes, and that's all they really need.
Right.
Maybe in high school they need a little higher tech.
So you get a graphing one. Yeah.
You can ask for a little higher tech, and maybe they can meet you somewhere in the middle.
Yeah. Although,
but you're not going to get the best.
You have to say, with Chromebooks and having more technology in school, they don't even need it anyway. They have Desmos, and they have graphing and calculators and different options on their computer. So really, that's an accommodation that shouldn't even be an issue anymore, to be honest. It just needs to be an issue so that they have access to it no matter what. That the teacher can't say no because they're going to have access to it. That's when it's appropriate. So really, if anyone's fighting that one, I fight back.
The point is that you may want the absolute best.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have to give you the best. They have to give you the minimal of what is appropriate for your child to do what they need.
Now, there are teachers like myself who will do the very best that I can because I know how to do that. But not all teachers have the same experience, like life and work. And so you have to get almost what they're capable of giving. And I think that parents need to understand that.
Mm-hmm.
And I do this job not because I enjoy it, because I look at the watch more than the kids do, and I'm like, are we done with school yet? But I'm good at what I do. But I'm not doing it because I feel like it's my call in life, because I'm not one of those people that's like, I miss my kids. I'm not. I'm like, it's the summer. I don't want to see you. Don't run into me at Walmart. Like we would run it. But I did it for the kids, and I
have 3 children that are typical kids.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
but you've read enough of them that
spectrum or anything going in my house.
Right.
But did I have children on the spectrum? Yeah. Did I learn to speak their language? Oh,
absolutely. Yeah, you have to. So I think that's kind of a crappy thing to say, even if I didn't have any kids with autism, because
I would have said, excuse me, do you see what time of day it is? Do you know how many children are in my classroom?
And I'm here. Kids. Yeah. His teacher was really good for him, but I had to be there at the school to like slap him down when he would take advantage of her, because he would. Nice people.
Oh, there were times I caught him too.
Good, and I hope you slapped him down, because I was like, no, she's a nice teacher. I'm not. You don't have the option not to go to math class, because I go to math class every day. And I remember that discussion because he was like, I don't want to go. I'm sorry. I didn't know that you had like voting rights. You're going.
See, and I remember meeting him as he was basically running at the school.
I was going to ask you about that.
Actually running. He was walking away with purpose.
That's how you say it right there.
He was just like, I'm done. And so he was out of there. And, we don't chase the kids. No. We kind of follow and keep an eye, but we don't chase.
No.
I mean, he was still locked behind fences in different areas.
He was done.
There was no actual leaving the campus.
Mm-hmm.
But he did get himself outside of one of our gates, and then he was just kind of looking around, and I walked over and I was like, oh, hey, Betsy, do you need me to let you through this gate? And his teacher saw from a distance and just kind of stepped back and let me, and he was looking for a way back in, but also looking to save face in doing it.
Right.
Because he didn't want to give in to, okay, she's won.
Yeah, that's important to him.
It is. And the kids have to know that they can still come back and have that faith, come back and everything as well. So, yeah, he's like, okay, I think I need to go back to class now, but now I don't know how to get to the gate. And I was like, oh, I can unlock that for you. And he's like, okay, so do you remember which class you were? Aren't you in so-and-so's room? I don't remember how to get there. Can you show me how to get there? Smart. And he was like, oh, yeah, let me go take you back there. So I turned it into he was helping me, which made him feel a little more powerful at that time and gave him some of the power back. His teacher, seeing what was going on, had walked out and around back the way she had come from. So she was back in the classroom when we got over there. So he waited for me to lock the gate back up, and then he, showed me to his room. Mm-hmm. And he walked in, he sat back down, and they continued their day. And all was good. I also been on field trips with your kid. Because they were like, oh, we need someone to go to the high school with him for this performance. Mm-hmm. But he's a runner. Mm-hmm. No, not always.
No, he's not really a runner. He's more of an escaper. Fine. He doesn't want pressure.
Right. And when he feels that, he just needs to step away. And that's some of the things we need to learn about our kids. Mm-hmm. And
he still tries to do it when it's hard. He just does. Yeah.
He never ran. He may have taken a couple extra bathroom trips.
He walks pretty fast, but he does not run.
That's it. He walks with purpose.
Yeah.
He doesn't run because I don't chase.
No, I don't either. And that's what I love about you.
We had a couple runners, and I said, I don't run.
That is my Ammon. He's a runner.
But there are children
Jesse.
that are runners. And you know what? If you can find something on the ground that is like the most interesting little twig you have ever seen, and whoa, I have never seen a twig like this. And you're standing there and you like bend over and you're picking this twig up and you're just, oh my God, those runners come back.
Especially Ammon, he loves leaves and he loves sticks.
They want to see what you have.
Uh-huh. It's amazing.
And then you start walking back to the classroom with it, and they're trying to now follow you and see what you have.
They want to know what you're going to do with it. Are they going to let me have that stick? Are they going to let me have it?
I mean, there have been times where I couldn't because that child shouldn't have had the stick either.
I love it.
By the time you get back in the classroom, you found something on your desk that was just as good that they could have and hang on to.
There you go.
And they walked back into the room, no problem.
Yeah. Well, and
you have to learn the kid.
Right. And I had a moment, I don't know if you were in my class at that time, but I had to leave because one of the assistant principals asked me to come and get my son from, was that your class?
There were a few times, yeah.
Okay. Well, there was one time in particular I'm thinking of, and I went out there and I said, excuse me, students, apparently you're not learning today. I'm going to go get my son. And I walked out and I went over to where the baseball field was, and he was over there with the assistant principal right there. And I said, hey, Jesse, and I'm yelling it because I'm not going to yell at you right now. You might want to get your butt over here now, because if I have to come get you, it's going to be painful. So get over here now. And starts walking towards me. And then I said on the bench right there by his class, his sped teacher's class, I said, you're going to sit right there. We're going to sit silently. You don't have to talk, but you're going to sit right there until you're ready to go into your class. And I sat there and letting him kind of talk. And then the assistant principal comes over and he goes, I know your mom, so that's one reason, but how do you do that? Because it's not just because you're mom. And I said, because I'm good. And I said, can I go back to my math class now? And he's like, yes. And I left. And he went into the classroom. But it's because I think we know how to kind of link with them. We watch their eyes. We watch what they're doing, what they're looking at. We look and see if they're approachable before we bother them. And not everyone, it seems natural, we should all just do it, but not everyone does that. But both of us had that in common.
Yeah. No, we can look at our kid and go, okay, this is kind of where they're at right now, and this is the approach we need to take with them right now. Sometimes they just needed to get out there and scream. And sometimes they need to just run because they need to get whatever it is out.
Yeah.
Now, we can give them a safe area to run in. If there's a track, you need to run. You run as far as you need to on that playground. You run as far as you need to on that, but you have to stay in this area. I understand you need to run. This is the place you can run. Yeah.
And I think that's a good way to make it less powerful, because when they feel like they're upsetting adults, they do it more. That's how I cut language out of my class. I desensitized to it. I made them realize I don't really care if you're going to say that word. Just do your work. Say whatever word you want. Just get the work done. And they usually tend to stop pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Because it's not.
Well, and you can catch them. We can catch and de-escalate them because you can see it starting to ramp up.
Absolutely.
Too.
You can see it. And no one ever realizes, well, when Jesse first got diagnosed, that you see it in the eyes. So every once in a while I'll ask a parent, have you seen your child's eyes just kind of shift? And they're like, yes. And I'm all, see, why is it some people can see it and others are like, what happens to their eyes? And I'm all, you're not paying attention, right?
I never necessarily catch an eyes, but I can catch it in their body language.
Well, and that's good, because I think it's a lot if teachers and moms, people who are actually with them, well, you're with them face to face. But I see it. Maybe it's a mom thing.
Well, it just depends on the kid, I guess.
True. Yeah.
I catch the body language more than anything.
See, and I catch the eyes first.
When they start to get frustrated, they get a little more fidgety in certain ways. Or
especially in the middle school.
They're sitting back more and they're starting to get more rigid. Or, there are just things that you start picking up on when you're with those kids all of the time.
Right, that's true.
Now, can you necessarily always catch it when you just met that student?
No. Although I was always cautiously optimistic, so I would take it kind of slow. Did you leave me?
Yes. I can still hear you. You were frozen. It was a great picture.
Oh.
Should have screenshot it.
Thanks. Thank you.
Thank you for listening today. We were just speaking with Crystal from Because Empowered Parents Raise Powerful Children. You can find her link at autismjammerburst.com under our About Us. Thank you for listening today. I'm Rachel, and this is